There have been significant developments following our investigation into the brazen British scam syndicate, fleecing hard-working Australians out of millions of dollars every week. Last week, we were on the front line when Malaysia's elite anti-corruption forces took down the crime gang and its ruthless ringleader, known as Peg Leg. Well, he may no longer have a leg to stand on, but as Liam Bartlett reports, our fight for justice for Australian victims is far from over.
In Kuala Lumpur, the scammers were brazen enough to name a building after their victims.
M&M's, mugs with money.
They were raided and caught in the act. The English lowlifes who scammed millions in hard-earned Aussie savings. With a special house call at the ringleader's mansion.
What is the problem?
The man they call Peg Leg. The pain that Peg Leg and his cronies have caused hard-working Australians is enormous.
Over $250,000.
120,000.
900,000.
But even after they were captured and cuffed, the scammers promised more.
And let's say you got it right. Do you think you're going to shut shop? Well, let's say you got this whole thing right. Do you think you're going to shut shop?
Well, we'll shut this shop.
Yeah. Oh, big.
The other shop shut
30
too.
more, mate.
That's all right. We'll shut them eventually.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Minister, how are you? Yeah, good, thank you. Thanks for having a chat to us.
No, my pleasure.
You happy, Minister?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Well, this is one of the biggest syndicates, scamming syndicates, ever to be busted, and the AFP were nowhere to be seen. You'd have to be concerned about that.
Of course I'm concerned.
New Federal Financial Services Minister Stephen Jones
You all good to go?
claims his government will get tough on scammers.
Going after them is critical.
Minister, that's the key, isn't it? Going
It
after.
absolutely. There's a couple of things we've got to do. First, we've got to raise our defences to ensure that Australia is a harder place for them to target.
Last week's story drew a huge response across the country. So we brought some scamming victims to meet the minister, and they were standing by. But first, we had a few questions. One, for example, about the government's $86 million anti-scamming package.
But how does that piddling amount protect anybody?
With respect, it's not a piddling amount. Let me explain to you what the $86 million is going to do.
Let me explain to you why it is piddling. By your own estimates, $3 billion last year alone from Australian victims. You're spending $86 million over 4 years. That's less than 3% of that amount in 1 year alone. That is piddling.
Let me tell you what I am responsible for. I'm not responsible for the Federal Police. I'm responsible for the machinery that protects Australian consumers and Australian households.
Don't pass the buck.
I'm not passing the buck.
You're the Financial Services Minister.
Do you want to know what we're doing? Do you want me to explain to you what we are doing?
I want you to tell me that you are resourcing the police force to catch these crooks and bring them to justice.
My responsibility is the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission.
The ACCC is your responsibility.
Correct.
The ACCC has been mostly useless.
In the case of every victim we spoke with, the investigators and watchdogs either passed the buck.
Yes, it's out of their jurisdiction, so there will be nothing more happening in this case. Case closed.
Or they were asleep at the wheel.
I see an ABN, I check the ABN, I check ASIC, I check the MoneySmart website, everything linked up.
Every single day, Minister, there are adverts on Facebook and YouTube to Aussie victims promising fake financial products. You could stop those advertisements tomorrow. Why aren't you taking action?
Well, actually, we can't stop them tomorrow. We can deal with them as they are brought to our attention, and that's why we've funded the Australian Securities and Investment Commission to deal with it.
The gangs would laugh at your investment. $86 million is a pimple on a pumpkin.
We'll see. With respect, I think it's more than any other government has done to date, and we'll be developing codes of practice. They'll put obligations on the banks, They'll put obligations on the social media platforms. They'll put obligations on the telecommunications companies to ensure that they are doing their utmost and what the government expects of them to protect Australians.
When's this happening?
Over the next 6 months, we'll be working with industry to develop them, to develop the codes of practice. That's right.
So based on last year's figures, that's another $1.5 billion coming out of Australian mums and dads' bank accounts to these crooks overseas. In the meantime, while you get your act together.
Number one priority when I came into this portfolio was going after the scammers. We've announced it in this year's budget. The money's there, the programs are underway. It is a priority for us as a government. If you've got a complaint about what's happened, you should be talking to the former government, who over the last 9 years did absolutely nothing.
You've had 12 months.
It's absolutely true. They did nothing.
Just own it.
Yeah. I'm owning what we are doing and the responsibility that we're taking to go after these crimes.
Minister, I've got a couple of victims here now who would like to ask you a couple of questions. Would you be prepared to have a quick chat to them?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Would that be okay?
Yeah, of course.
Can we ask those scamming victims to come in, please?
This is 70-year-old scam victim, Joanna.
Joanne, how are you?
Travelling with her daughter, Simone.
Simone, how are you, Simone?
And another victim called Megan.
Megan, nice to see you.
We flew them across the country to meet the Minister.
Minister, Joanna, I'll let you tell the Minister yourself. I mean, how much have you lost to these scammers?
I've lost $800,000. That's 50 years of my life of
so
mortgage
sorry
repayments.
To hear that. Yeah.
That's my retirement.
How did they contact you? How did they contact you?
I was listening to some sermons on a Christian channel on YouTube.
So there were ads on a YouTube channel?
On a Christian YouTube channel.
Right.
So I expected I was listening to a safe space.
Ads on a YouTube channel. I mean, why can't we shut them down?
We can and we should be shutting that stuff down. I mean, there are literally hundreds of thousands of them.
He was claiming to be a Christian and understood my desire to give to the poor and to leave an inheritance for my children.
I'm so sorry about your loss.
I've lost it all.
You wanted to do the right thing and some scumbag.
Absolutely.
Went after you. I'm real sorry.
Pretending to be a good person, a Christian person.
Minister, Megan has got a similar story, Megan, haven't you?
So my funds went to an account within Australia and it took at least 3 weeks before it was assigned to a detective.
Yeah.
That was back in February 2022. I haven't heard from the police since August. I've been advised it's with an internal fraud team. No communication. Go away, stop emailing, stop calling. We can't help you anymore.
And how much have you lost, Megan?
450,000.
Almost $500,000.
Yep.
So the Minister and the police are not doing anything.
Yeah, I'd like to find the details, get the details from you when we finish this discussion so we can follow up.
I guess what has highlighted to me is the lack of resources, the lack of communication, the response. No one, as soon as your money supposedly goes offshore, no one wants anything to do with you. You're treated like a pest. Go away, you're the criminal now, and the criminal is the victim, and they're protected, and we're exposed, and we are treated like a criminal, and with no outcome.
More has got to be done.
Yeah,
We've got to take these scumbags off.
We're just the tip of the iceberg. It's life-changing. Not in a good way.
Yeah, not in a good way. And your mum here, God, you've saved your whole life.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm sorry. You had to go through that.
Next.
I know exactly where they learned that particular lab.